Okay, now rock and roll. Mr. Fortin, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having
joining us. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is the first one since quarantine, I think. This is the first podcast.
Oh,
I've been
damn.
on.
Nice. Are you guys back to doing scrambled eggs or?
No, we haven't done one, really. No reason. We
No.
just haven't.
Just haven't.
It's just been, you all have lived this year also. You understand?
Yeah, exactly. We know what it is.
That's okay. I went to his apartment and stole his barbecue from him. So.
Jim's?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dude, I need a new barbecue.
He was like, free barbecue on Facebook, and I was like, I'm going to take full advantage of this.
Yeah, this guy will take that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't been over there since COVID ruined everyone's lives.
We all know what it is. We've all been there. Lives have all been equally ruined.
Yeah, man. Did you guys quarantine though? Like, did you stay at home in your houses for like a strict amount of time?
The first little bit, I was very serious about it.
Yeah.
And then I got far less serious about it as time went on.
Me too.
Yeah, nice.
That was exactly how I felt. It was like the first 2 weeks I was like, okay, and because we got all the payment stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, there was no reason to be going out. Like, comedy didn't exist anymore. Like, the gym was shut down, so there was no reason to leave. So I was like going back and forth between my house and my girl's house, and that was like it. And just like, other than that, like literally not going anywhere or seeing anyone or touching people. And
Yep. Oh, yeah. No, I was, the first, couple months of it was like full on, just stay at home chilling. Like it work dropped off a lot. And then, I mean, you're getting paid. It's like, okay. I mean, it fucking, I think like everyone, I was like, why is this happening to me? but it's everyone, right? I'm like, I had such a great year planned for all these cool things and stuff. And, but then I kind of got over myself. I was like, I guess playing fucking Warzone all day isn't that bad of a fate. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was I don't know. It was hard. Like, it was hard to be positive. It was hard to be positive. It was also like really easy to be positive. Like, whenever people were complaining about stuff, I was like, bro, explain to me what you did today, and then tell me again that you had a bad day. Go ahead. Like, oh, you woke up at noon, had some cereal, watched a couple shows, took a nap, like, made dinner with your girlfriend, and then went to bed. Like, go ahead, tell me that was a horrible day again. Go ahead, tell me that.
It depends on who you're living with as your girlfriend, I guess, man.
Yeah, we didn't make it. We were a no-go. We were one of the...
Oh, you were one of the COVID...
COVID breakups,
yeah.
COVID divorce.
Oh, no.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You
on to the next one.
I guess. You guys are getting me in trouble. I got in trouble last time. I was on because we broke up and then got back together, and then during the relationship, she brought up that she listened to the Two Girls One broadcast once. I said something. She was wrong, but
oh no.
Yeah.
No,
it wasn't us though, so not our fault.
It wasn't you guys. But
hopefully she doesn't find that one. I don't know if there's anything bad. Maybe there
I don't
was.
know. Dude, I've gotten in trouble for. I was thinking about that today on the way over here. I was like, man, I can't say. I gotta stop talking about girls on podcasts. Every time I ever got yelled at for a podcast, it was because of some shit I said. Like, podcasts have ruined like 2 almost relationships for me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
Really?
good. Yeah, I mean, it's also a great way to weed girls out, though.
Interesting.
It's like, I don't know. I'm gonna say this stuff at some point. You might as well listen to the podcast and hear it.
Was it about them or just your general
just
views
me,
on the
yeah,
world?
just
They're
me
like,
as a
I
person.
don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was always like stuff with the stuff that I said about girls. The first time it was like this one girl got mad because I was talking about like, I don't know, there was one summer I was like 23 or 24 or something like that, and it was just like summer, and I was just being 23, and I was just like, oh yeah, I had these like 3 friends with benefits, and then like a year later I was like talking about it on a podcast, and some girl that I was like kind of seeing was like, I listen to your podcast, and like you were like fucking 3 girls at the same time, and I was like, I don't know, yeah, man. Like,
Who hasn't been there though is the real question. Like,
yeah, like, I don't know. And that's the thing, is like, if you're gonna get mad at that, then at least you got mad at that from a podcast instead of like some shit that I'm gonna do in 2 weeks.
yeah, you're mad at last year, Alex, not right now, Alex. It was
Yeah.
way worse.
Yeah. It's not way worse, just more immediate to you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's funny. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. You're a dating app guy as well, aren't you?
Not
Sometimes.
currently, but
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I was for
In the past.
from the beginning of Tinder until like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Because,
A
I
year
mean,
ago.
I don't know. There's kind of a weird impasse where everyone on there sort of knows you're probably talking to a few other people,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it's
yeah,
kind
who-
of this weird unspoken agreement.
Yeah, I guess I've never thought about that, but it's like, yeah, you know that you're not the only person this person is messaging.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if someone's texting you, it feels a lot like, oh, I'm the only
A
boy
little
that
more
she's texting.
Yeah,
Speak for
exactly.
yourselves, guys.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like kind of this weird unspoken thing.
Yeah.
And then, but then, I don't know, you sort of escalate depending. I don't know. It's just a weird world we find
you-
ourselves in.
Yeah, it's
And
very
everyone kind
strange.
of agrees with it. And then when a chick's like, you're talking to other girls, it's like, yeah, bitch, I have like 200 likes on Tinder. Like,
Yeah, bitch.
there's at least one other one.
I actually got caught one time. Like
What do you mean caught?
like caught out on a date by like a girl I went on a date with her
damn.
the day before.
Oh,
And then she
to
saw
the same
me
location?
on a date with a different girl
yeah,
the
did you go to
next
the same
day.
place?
White Ave. I mean, it was like kind of
General area.
Not the
approximately-
same, like, exact restaurant.
No, it
Okay.
wasn't
At the exact same
coffee
table.
shop.
You're like, no, I went to the restaurant where the other girl was a waitress at.
Yeah. So
Shit. So what happened?
she messaged me. She's like, "I saw you," and I was like,
Oh.
"Yeah, exactly." That's the best way to reply to that is, "Oh?" question mark.
Yeah, that's the only answer. Go on.
And then it was like, she's definitely like a 7.5 or
No.
something. And I was like, yeah.
You're like, yeah, but you're a 7, so
Yeah.
don't say
So
that.
did what happened after that?
Never talked to the one before, like the
Yeah.
one that was, the girl that I went on the date with the day before that found me.
Yeah.
Never talked to her again.
Oh, really?
That's so
That's funny.
Which
At
is
least she
kind of
wasn't
weird.
like, I don't know, that was I guess she did it in like the most reasonable way. But
I'm
I would
texting you, not like boop, fucking making a
yeah,
scene
like
or
walking
whatever.
over. But like I don't even understand texting you at that point. Like yeah, I would just be like, okay, that person obviously
Could have been my fucking sister, man.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
the like,
exactly. That's why I'm surprised you didn't say like, yeah, I mean, it was just catching up with my sister.
I was like, yeah, how did you meet girl number
All
one?
right, Luke and Leia. Like,
No, I was like, oh no, baby, I would never do that.
What? Me?
it was a client.
I have a twin.
That actually is a pretty good fallback
Hmm
because of our
Is the
business.
client?
Is the client thing, yeah.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one time
That's-
I went out on a really shitty date, and the girl was like 15 pounds heavier than her profile pics were,
Nice.
and it was more than 15. It's probably more like 25, 30. But and I said to the waitress, I was like, "Shit, this client of mine."
This client of mine is fat as fuck. Eh?
Yeah,
Oh man,
that is the plausible deniability. Though, that's for
it
sure.
really
That's,
is. Yeah.
It's also that's good because you guys in your business like you
Oh,
could be
yeah.
going out for a fancy dinner and like it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I go out for a
exactly.
fancy dinner with the girl, I'm like, she was a client.
It's like what?
Like, ooh, wow.
Fuck. You said there was a story you were gonna tell us about some confrontation. You had
Oh, it
with a
wasn't
girl
no,
today?
no, that wasn't that exciting of a story.
Oh,
I just
okay.
didn't want to have to explain the other part of the story first, but
Oh, okay.
because yeah, COVID's like I don't know. I feel like I was thinking about this today in the shower after some marijuana, and I was thinking about how like I've basically graduated school 10 years ago. Like this would have been like my first like 10-year anniversaries of not going to school.
Yep.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Like,
graduated 2010 is now
yeah,
2020.
Yeah.
10 years.
This is your 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that, but it feels like that whole 10 years is like the same amount of time as the 3 years that high school was. Like, if that
I
makes
actually
sense.
know exactly what you're saying, and I totally agree.
Yeah, it's
no,
like
that
the,
makes sense.
the experience of like how much like things changed and people I met and like
Mm-hmm.
like things that I started and ended and like relationships and friends you make and all it like seems to be the same amount of shit happened
Yeah.
in like my 18 to 28 as it did in all of high school.
Yeah.
And then it kind of feels like COVID also is like that same amount of time. Like, it's 6 months, 3 years, and 10 years, but it's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's all the same time.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you're getting at. Yeah, man. Oh, well, so COA during it felt so long. Like, so painfully
Days
long for me.
would drag the fuck
Yeah,
on.
Insanely long.
days, weeks. But then when you look back at it, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. It flew by. Like, but during it, it felt so long. I don't know.
I don't. Maybe it was just my life is weird, but like so much happened during COVID for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, and also in the world, it just felt like just everything was going wrong immediately. It was like, well, Australia's on fire, and then Kobe died, and then like just everything else was bad. And then my brother and my mom both moved internationally. My brother moved,
really?
Yeah, my brother moved to Norway. He got a job in Norway.
Oh.
And he moved like February 1st or something. So he was like moving into Norway, like getting his like immigration papers and stuff. And they're like, all right, we're shutting the whole world down. The whole thing's getting shut down.
Did he get sent home or did he get to?
No, he like that is home. He's like
I
there.
guess if he has a visa or whatever.
Well, yeah, and he's like working from home, so he's just just in his Norwegian
That sucks.
apartment.
Yeah, Norwegian apartment, can't go really do anything. I'm assuming now they're maybe more open, but
Actually, yeah.
still.
Well, it was really interesting because people are stupid, is what I've learned during this. Also, people like can't understand simple concepts. So the virus started in China, from what we understand, and it spread, and then it went through Europe, and then it had to hop an ocean, so it came to us last. So my brother was in Norway, like they went into like full lockdown, and they went like, you could read about Europe's lockdown, like, well, we still didn't really have any cases, and then it came over here. And that was shocking to me, because I remember reading about like Italy not shutting down and Spain not shutting down, and then other countries that did shut down, and then it was like, oh, the countries that shut down were fine, and Spain and Italy have all these insane amount of cases. And then it came over here, and then people were like, well, we don't have to shut down. That's not going to fix anything. And I was like, bro, literally, like, we got lucky enough to be the ones who already have the evidence of how to deal with this. And so it was interesting talking to my brother, because he got everything like basically almost exactly like 3 weeks before us. Like they shut down 3 weeks before us. They opened up 3 weeks before us.
Okay.
Like they had the masks and stuff, and now they're like almost normal.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But also, I mean, he lives in Norway, so it's like a country of 3 million people, and it's like, it's not a huge population density, and everyone is very socialist, so they have great healthcare, and everyone was already kind of in a position where like, you can take a few days off and not really worry about it. So like,
fair. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's part of America's like biggest problem, is that there's so many people that are so fucked having to take a month off.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
that's exactly it, right? Is like they don't have, well, I don't know. It's a lot of issue. Oh boy.
Just hold that for the rest
Good
of the
recovery.
episode.
Smooth. It screws on if you want. It's just like a clamp. You have to like.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'll deal with it.
He's
You
got
keep-
biceps,
All right.
bro.
You keep going with your story. I'll figure this out.
What was I saying? US. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a kind of a double-edged sword where they didn't have a good replace. Like CERB was a pretty comprehensive program, and they didn't really have anything that exactly mirrored that. I think they did sort of their version of EI, but theirs is a lot less than us. And then improvise, adapt, overcome. I like it. But then, well, it's also where like a lot of states have super strict shutdown orders still. Like we forget that there's a lot of places like California, to my understanding, is not where Alberta is for openness. So you have a whole bunch of people who are forced to shut down and have like no opportunity to try and skip the dishes if they're a restaurant or whatever the hell, right? So I don't know. It's a pretty big mess down there.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I think they were in a bad position to deal with a global pandemic. Like, they just really kind of shot themselves in the foot before it ever happened. Because in Canada, it's like, whatever. I mean, not to dismiss like what happened and like the efforts made and like what it's gonna end up doing to our country like in the long run, but like short term, it's like okay, 8,000 people or $8,000 is somewhat reasonable to at least like cover living expenses for 4 months. For I'm gonna say probably just a random fucking estimate, but I'm gonna guess, let's say half the population. That's 16 million people or whatever, 16.5 million people times $8,000 is, that's a reasonable amount of money for a government to have. But in the States, they have like 330 million people, which like probably 300 million of them are living like month to month, and then they're also like poorer than us and more fucked up than us, so they'd also need at least $8,000. So now you're talking of billions and billions of dollars of debt for the government. It's like, well, this is just not feasible. So it's like, and then they had no social programs to begin with, and then they're like, people couldn't afford the doctor. So then if you do get COVID, now like there's no way their version of CERB is enough to cover what your doctor's bills are going to be. So it's like you're just crushing everyone by not letting them work, and then also anyone who gets sick is in even worse boat unless they're allowed to go work, which means they're going to get everyone sick. So it's like, I don't know, you guys just sucked as a country pre-COVID, and now you're really fucked.
Quit the chicken or egg problem.
It kind of is. Literally. It really is. Yeah, exactly.
It's like the 2008 thing, man. It's like, I don't know what was the problem here. Was the problem that like the banks lied, or was the problem that like
you were a stripper with 6 income properties like in The Big Short?
Yeah, exactly. Like what? Like, why did you buy a $500,000 house when you make $40,000 a year? Like, can you not do that math? Can you not figure out how long that's going to take you to pay?
Yeah.
Like, that would take all of your money for your whole life to be able to afford that?
Yep.
So, like, I don't know. It feels like it's half their government's fault and half their people's fault, and then a third half of the fault falls onto just circumstance.
I mean, I think it did expose kind of a flaw in our, like, it would appear today we can at least confidently say, semi-confidently, that COVID wasn't as bad as their worst case scenarios or even their, like, probable scenarios thus far.
Oh, yeah.
So we definitely got lucky that way, I think. Count our lucky stars. But our system was very exposed to, like, an easily spreadable virus in our, like, globally connected world to just move around very quickly, right? When you think about it, like to get from China to every corner of the world in under 6 months, right? And once it really got going, it was really like 3, right?
And like not even figuratively, like every corner of the world. Like, you know, when someone's like, I've been to every corner of the world. It's like literally every single place where people live except for that one island where we don't fly planes over. You guys hear about that?
Is it the one in the Indian Ocean where like
Joe
Rogan talks about it all the time?
Is that the one where that kid got killed a few years back?
Yeah, he went to like go like do a documentary or something, and then got speared to death.
Yeah.
Last year, some guy he was like a Mormon guy, tried to go on like a mission there. It was like, I'm going to teach them about Jesus, and they just shot him with arrows.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I think this was like late last year.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So that 0 cases there. Not
nice.
a single documented case on that island.
Good for them.
But other than that, literally the whole planet, like every single municipality on the whole damn planet saw this
had
thing.
like at least one, right?
So,
had a common cold
in a couple months. Like that's crazy. Well.
Yeah. I mean, who the fuck knows?
Or a severe respiratory problem, depending on who you are, randomly.
Depends.
That's
that's the weirdest thing is there's no.
Is it?
I don't know.
Well, they say it's
I don't
like,
think anyone has any idea anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
God, we were talking about this last week. We're like, expert
many.
opinions, even from real experts, mean basically nothing anymore.
Absolutely.
Every single thing that a doctor now says on TV about COVID is equally as valid to me as that one time when Trump said to put Lysol in your blood or whatever the fuck he said. Those are all equally valid to me
Both equally educated guesses.
Yeah, like, because at this point, like, I don't know, man. Do you get really hot or do you puke? Like, I don't even know what the symptoms are anymore. All I know is high fever is for sure.
All I know is I gotta wear a mask.
Or maybe 0. Yeah.
When I'm fucking a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Mask on, condom off. Let's go.
I like it. That should be a shirt.
I want to get a sticker for my truck. No.
Yeah.
That's the title of this episode.
I was about to say. Love it. Love it.
Sometimes I just want to lean into being from Alberta just because the world's going to shit anyways. I'm like, whatever, let's just do it.
Yeah?
Let's just get an F-350 and run things over and just...
And get a sticker that says "fuck off, we're full."
No,
That's shaped like Alberta.
Get a sticker that says "mask on, condom off," shaped like Alberta.
Start selling that shit, honestly.
Yeah.
Fucking trademark that shit right now.
Do it right now. File the paperwork.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I don't know. It's end of the day, like it's not much you can do.
Yeah.
I think things are moderately reassuring now. We'll see what happens in winter. Hopefully it doesn't, if everyone keeps working from home, hopefully the numbers don't go too crazy and we don't have full on shutdown again. Cause I don't know. I'd almost like, for a while I was like, oh man, if it's full on shutdown again, like it's not going to be good for me personally. I'm going to lose my mind. But now I'm like, I don't know. It'd be nice to go back to the new Tony Hawk game just came out. Got to work on that, right? Like,
yeah, I'd like to go back to just having 12 hours to sleep always.
yeah, exactly.
That'd be nice.
Well, even the round 2 of like being more mentally prepared, do some spiritual searching or something.
Getting
Right.
ready for quarantine. Not just like, that was the craziest part about quarantine, how quickly it was sprung on us.
It really went from like, there was no like,
There was no like okay, we're gonna, because opening up has been like a slow process of like introduction and like phase 1, phase 2, and then the masks, and then testing the waters and going back and then trying again. But shutting down was literally like, get inside now, like go. Get in. And if you're not here, get on a plane and get back here and then get inside.
I'm pretty sure there was an Oilers game like the weekend before or something like that. Like the Saturday, and then we shut down like the Tuesday or something.
Dude, it was like, I remember because it was my birthday, and then the week after my birthday, there was like, it was like something crazy, and then St. Patrick's Day was like the week like in between, like, so I was like, okay, well my next 2 weeks are gonna be fucking right. I'm just gonna be wasted for my birthday, and then wasted for like this show or I was doing or something, and then wasted for St. Patrick's Day, and then the show like happened, and then I was like, okay, well let's just like keep this train rolling. So we went out on like the Monday or the Tuesday or whatever the hell it was, and then we were there till like last call, and we were like taking like Snapchats of like trays of drinks and people like cheersing and like all this shit. And then we like I remember the next day they were like, okay, no, like my work called and was like, don't come into work, like we're closed. And I was like, what the fuck?
Shit.
Like 8 hours ago, no, 6 hours ago, I was wasted across the road from you guys.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. Because I work at Central, and so I was at Greta, like doing shots at like 2 a.m. And then at 8 a.m. Central was like, yeah, we're closed.
Yeah, world's closed.
The world's shut down. And then so we like,
Pool's closed.
I was about to say pool's closed.
I'm running on the deck. Get out. That's so funny.
Damn. Yeah, because wasn't St. Patrick's Day supposed to be like that?
Yeah, it was like the
Actual-
12th or the 14th or some shit is when the world shut down,
Yeah.
and then St. Patty's Day is like the 16th or the 17th.
Something. I remember those dates. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then I had a show, because I remember I had a comedy show in Fort St. John, and that was the last thing, and I was like, okay, whatever, we're going to go get wasted in Fort St. John, because I think I did Grand Prairie on the Wednesday, Fort St. John.
Is that the one where you brought up toilet paper or something like that?
Yeah.
That. I remember seeing the Instagram clip. Yeah.
Because that was funny, because work had closed down, but then they were like, we're still doing the fucking show. So it's like,
There were a few like holdouts too, where they like didn't have a direct government order, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that was the thing. Restaurants got hit pretty immediately. That it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you're gonna be serving people food. Like, don't.
Don't be touching shit.
Yeah. So they got shut down pretty quick. But it was like the theater, and they were like, well, we didn't really get told anything, and it was in a small town, and it was like Tuesday was the shutdown, and they were like, yeah, it's Friday, just come on up. And then I drove home on the Saturday, and then it was like after that I didn't leave the house or like see anyone for like 2 months.
Nice.
It was weird.
Do you think you got it? Do you think you got COVID?
No.
No?
No.
I think I did.
I don't think you did either.
I think I did.
I bet every idiot I know thinks they got COVID or thinks they know that someone that got COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I did. Though.
Go get the test. Go get the thing and see if you have the antibodies, and then come back to me.
Except
and we'll
I don't
see
want the
who's
fucking
right.
thing up my nose.
Okay.
Too smart.
Isn't
for
the
that.
antibodies just a blood test though? Like they don't need to do the nasal
I don't know.
test?
I'm not a
have no fucking
doctor.
idea.
I don't know.
But everyone
I've been
seems
told
to
1,000
be, I
things.
thought,
Because again, you're like, oh, I don't want the thing on my nose. But then I've talked to some people who are like, no, you do the daily test and they fixed it now, and you just go inside the nose and it's like whatever. But then some other nurse told me that it depends like who your nurse is on how good of a job that test even is. So I'm like, so what? You get a shitty nurse, then you don't have COVID, and there's all these internet claims that like people are dying of strokes, and then Trump was like, you have to mark that as a COVID death, and I'm like, I feel like that's not the fucking president's job.
Well, it was like I read about some dude in Florida who died in a motorcycle accident, but the cause of death was technically COVID.
Yeah, and so I heard that like a bunch. That was, and again, I don't know if because it's so fucked up. I don't know if it's a Facebook rumor or a real
Yeah, it's
thing
not.
or
Yeah,
not. And so
someone's
I'm like,
Uncle Terry made that up, or who the fuck knows.
but yeah, I've been hearing that like in the States, a bunch of like corpses are getting tested for COVID, and like if the corpse has COVID like in it, then they're putting that as the cause of death, even though they actually died of like something else. And I was like, why would they be doing that? But like, it sounds like something that might happen. But like,
I did see something where they're reviewing numbers pretty substantially.
Yeah. Well, they actually so the U.S. recently, so Canada has actually been relatively more transparent on their numbers, even though maybe not publicly. Like if you go to the Alberta government COVID site, you can actually view the stats pretty clearly. And like, because the big thing is the amount of comorbidities with deaths. So 75% of Alberta deaths had 3 or more, and another 14% had at least two, which means pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
So the vast, but
that's also because it's all these like geriatrics that are dying.
Exactly,
like
right?
you're
the average
100.
age of death is 83 still, if I'm not mistaken. So
I think it's 1 year.
I was gonna say it's 1 year older because 82 is the average like life expectancy
for
in Canada,
Albertans.
and then 83 is like the average age of death for COVID.
Yeah.
Which again, like that's also a thing where stupid idiots are using that as a like, see, it's not real. Like it's just old people who are dying. Like if you're young and you get it, you're not gonna die. It's like, no, you fucking moron.
Yeah.
Like also,
you're less likely to die for sure, but that's also not a reason to open up 1,000%, because then it'll just spread rampantly, right? So.
And then like also like just because percentage wise change it like. Yes, percentage-wise, young people will die, but that doesn't mean like right now there's like whatever 1,000 young people dying. We full open up, there's gonna be 1 million of them dying. It's still only gonna be 2% of the deaths are young people, but it's gonna be significantly more people.
Yeah.
Like, why are you looking at percentages as like the reason to open back up?
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I think that you can like tell the truth with statistics, but you can also tell the truth while lying with statistics.
Yeah, statistics are very manipulatable.
Yes.
So or if you only present one aspect or whatever.
That's been my whole take too. Also, it kind of like how the media is reporting, well, there's however many tens of thousands of cases in Canada, but how many are actually active currently? And it's like,
I know.
Yeah. And it's like the media, it's like, shame on you too. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, and people like it sucks because people are dumb and the media is dumb.
Yeah.
And then
the media is people.
Yeah.
Therefore.
And then there's so many like numbers thrown into it that like even the smart people are now getting confused by it. I think like I had a buddy that came over and he was like from Ontario and he like came to do shows here and it was like kind of near the beginning and I was like, man, you guys have like so many more cases than us. Like, why would you just come like? That's kind of a shitty thing to do, like just come here and not self-isolate from like a shit spot.
Yeah.
And then he was like, we don't have more cases than you guys. I was like, yeah, we do. And he's like, bro, look at the thing. And he's like, look, more new cases in Edmonton. I was like, okay, that's today because there's like 20 new cases in Edmonton today and like 15 in fucking Toronto, but there's still like 1,000 more active ones, and then there's like 1,000 other total ones, and then like the total to death rate is also different because like not a lot of people have died in Alberta, but we've had a ton of cases, which is weird because we only had like 152 deaths or some shit. But like as far as actual cases go, we have more than like Manitoba and Saskatchewan and BC.
You know what it is?
Way less deaths.
correlation with cocaine use.
Yeah, probably cocaine kills COVID.
Exactly. You heard it
Dr.
here
Alex
first.
Fortin, everyone. Well, and then because
Yo, and then, did you
But
hear
frankly, I can make those fucking correlations if
Yeah.
they're going to make correlations of other sort of
yeah,
shit.
like exactly
Yeah.
the numbers. I bet if you look at the number of COVID COVID people who are recovered in Alberta who had used cocaine, and the number of COVID survivers who had used cocaine in BC, it's probably way more in Alberta. So COVID kills cocaine.
Yeah.
Or cocaine kills COVID. Like, I don't know anymore.
Did you also see there were like smoking is the vaccine or something?
well, they said some
Yeah, but so is like
things said-
epilepsy medicine. But then in reality, also epilepsy medicine kills you if you take it, apparently. So I don't fucking know anymore.
Do we know anything? I don't know if we
I
do.
think
This is what
is
this is what I've
knowledge an objective thing, or is all knowledge
Bullshit.
subjective?
No,
Yeah.
all knowledge is bullshit, bro.
Like, did you see that interview with that like Trump's doctor or whatever they said? And it's like African American lady, and she's going on about how like
that chick, yeah.
she treats so many
HCQ
people
or
for
whatever?
COVID with
Well, so it was
Oh, here we go.
I
Getting
was like, is
banned
she
from YouTube.
lying? Like, she's just lying then? Like, this lady was just lying?
Well, no, it was where it was something where they basically went more because she's kind of, first of all, her practice, because it's private practice, like it's the U.S.
Yeah.
It's like in a strip mall, so people are like, oh, it's a strip mall doctor.
Yeah.
And then also she on her YouTube channel was going on rants about like how she's very Christian and how demons cause
nice.
this virus and stuff and yada,
I believe
yada,
it.
yada. So
Yeah.
I believe it.
Makes more
yeah,
sense as
so
all the
people
other
kind of went that, and then it just kind of faded away. But it was a thing where it was a bunch of doctors went to Washington to like promote the use of hydroxychloroquine, or like to recommend mass prescribing it or something along those lines. But it was also like, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but and then part of it though, because people saw it was funded by Turning Point USA, which is more of a right-leaning news network, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just another cycle in the whole like news, left, right, COVID
Yeah.
left, COVID
Yeah.
right.
But then you read the thing, like if you just type that word, like whatever you said, the hydroxychloroquine,
yeah.
and you type that into Google, and then you just start looking at it, and it's like, it kills you. And it's like all these doctors are like, this, don't take it. It's really bad for you. If you don't have any conditions that need it, if you have COVID, it's going to make it worse, like blah, blah, blah. And then you go to the next article, it's like, it's going to fix your COVID. Here's all the doctors. And it's like, you have the same amount of doctors with the same amount of like PhDs and accolades from the same schools saying exact opposite shit. And like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Here's what irritates me though, is that like social media platforms were deciding what medical advice could go through.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Hey, wait a minute. We didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, it's so wild. Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Well, it's annoying that it's like, so news on both sides makes their living off of like having bold, definitive statements in their headlines, because that gets clicks. So you need to find doctors or experts to make bold, definitive statements to back up your headlines, right? And then like it's just this trickle down effect of like, fuck, like can we just get my hypothesis is a website called news.org or some shit, and it's just like the most boring goddamn website in the world, and it's just black text, white background, and like nothing else.
Yeah, just basically what, like the newspaper.
Yeah.
The newspaper online. Can we get that, please?
The newspaper. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, we should get that. We should get the world newspaper. Like there should just be one. No, I'd take that.
That's
back.
also bad.
That's a
Maybe
horrible
not.
idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't give all power to one news network. Actually.
Fuck. I mean, but if you don't listen to the news at all,
Then you're an
Coronas doesn't
uninformed.
even exist.
Like,
it doesn't
Well,
exist.
then you have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Again,
then I went outside and there was
reality
birds
is
chirping.
subjective.
yeah.
The birds had little masks on just to be safe.
That's this is another stoner shower thought from Alex.
Yeah.
I realized that like there's basically like two like realities that I have, because fundamentally are two lives I live basically, because fundamentally like my life hasn't changed. Like I'm still the same guy. I still believe the same stuff. I'm still like a comedian. I still like doing the same things. But like logistically my life has changed tremendously. I have to wear a mask all the time. I had to like I got a day job, so like, well, another like a full-timer day job. And like I haven't been podcasting, and like I don't have any comedy shows booked for the corporate season, which is usually crazy. And like my mom had to move back from Colombia and all this stuff, but it's like at the end of the day I still talk to the same 30 people, and I get hungry and horny and sleepy and angry and happy, and so it's like I don't know. Like that's another thing that I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm like, how much does everything matter?
Doesn't.
Yeah, like, but also does it not? Because then like, I'm also sad about how I don't get to go for saunas anymore.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's something I thought about too for my quarantine self-exploratory thoughts was everything matters and nothing matters, right? Because
everything matters a lot and nothing matters at all.
Yeah, because nothing matters because this whole fucking thing is pointless. We're highly sentient apes on a rock floating through space.
Well, and
but
like 8 months ago or whatever, I was sitting at this table talking to you two, and here we are sitting at this table talking to you two. Like, if you look at it at the end of the day, like this isn't any different from what we were doing. Like fundamentally, we're still here. We still have the same feelings and thoughts and whatever. So fundamentally, like our lives are still the same, but like we all know that tremendously our lives are very different.
Interesting. Yeah. I think I see where you're going in terms of a lot of your day-to-day is still physically the same as just what you
like how you
think about, how you're seeing it, the lens with which you look at the world.
Yeah, and even like I'm going to the grocery store still and picking up groceries, but now like it's all masked up and like I'm weird about picking out fruit. Like I don't feel like as comfortable like feeling stuff around and putting it back, and then like when you sneeze you're like, oh god, everyone hates me, and then like
well, there's also people that are like, this is going to change everything, but then at the same time I'm kind of like, humans are dumb. We have pretty short attention spans. I think there's going to be a lot of shit going back to normal. As soon as whatever it is, you inject yourself whatever, that vaccine or, whatever.
Well, you mentioned The Big Short earlier. Literally at the end of The Big Short, they explain how it's happening again, and they just renamed it.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the same thing with it. Like, we're just going to go back to someone was, one of my stupid friends was like worried. He's like, comedy's never going to come back. Like, everyone's moving online. Like, they're not going to want to do big gatherings. It's never going to be the same. And I was like, bro, there's court jesters. We've had the Black Plague, the Spanish flu, like, fucking like, they didn't like, it's not like it's over. Like, it's not done forever. You know what I mean? And it was the same thing with like 9/11, and people were like, air travel will never be the same. And it's like, well, it is. Like, it's different now because you have to wait in line a little longer, and like you can't go through the gate, but like
take off your shoes.
I can't carry a gun on a plane anymore, unfortunately.
But if you ask someone, you're like, hey mom, like, would you prefer to fly on an airplane today or in the year 1997? She'd be like, now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like, so who cares? Like, what?
Well, the whole thing about like office space and stuff changing entirely, I'm like fucking Zoom calls, I can turn off my mic and camera and I can piece the fuck out for the next 2 hours while this meeting's going on.
Yeah.
You're not telling me these meetings are more productive than in person, face to face.
I do think some things will change, of like kind of people rethinking like the work week, the 9 to 5, especially in like an office environment where you can be at home. But I don't know. I am because what I think about is, okay, Spanish flu. Right after the Spanish flu, there was probably a generation that remembered and would do things a little differently or whatever, and it slowly faded out and went back to normal. And then here we are 100 years later, right? So I think it'll be,
and I think
like easing back into it, right?
Yeah, and I think the big positive changes tend to stay. So like once we realize like, oh yeah, like we were all breathing like insane recycled air on airplanes, and we always got sick when we traveled, and you always came back with a bug, and it was stupid. And it's like now when you go on a plane, everyone's kind of going to be wearing their mask until they go sit over in their seat, and it's going to be whatever. And it's like, okay, like, did that really, everyone's like, my world is so different. It's like, I don't know. The only real thing that's probably going to be long lasting from this, travel is going to be a little bit more sanitary. Like, or you know what I mean? Like, maybe the day-to-day is going to be more sanitary. Like, grocery stores are going to be more sanitary. Restaurants are going to be... But, like, how different is that? Like, because restaurants in our day are way more sanitary than they were in, like, the 70s anyways. Because believe me, as a dude who's worked at restaurant with, like, Alberta health and safety standards and having, like, you know, those secret shoppers that come through and like that stuff. And hearing stories about like dudes that I work with now, they're like, yeah, in the 70s, like we used to have fucking whiskey online and like we'd put our dicks in burgers and stuff. I'm like, dude, you get shut down so fast for that. So it's like, I don't know, the progress seems to be like we're going to more sanitary. Like, you remember pools when you were a kid? How gross a pool used to be?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, pools are still pretty gross when you think about it, but yeah, comparatively, for sure.
They're like way more sanitary. Like they just have, like, it feels like there's like this mandatory safety and sanitation through human history has always got better. Look at cars, bro. Like 5-star safety ratings. And like, dude, they used to only have a driver's one fucking, what is it, airbag? One. You had one. And then
Like,
they were
fuck
like,
everyone
fuck
else in
the
this
women
car.
and children.
Yeah, save the driver because
dudes were
he paid for the
driving.
car, so he deserves to be saved.
It's like the opposite of lifeboats on the Titanics.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, my dad had like an old like 78 Volvo when we were growing up, and we were allowed to sit in the front seat because it didn't have an airbag. So like when we were young and like, because in my mom's van we had to stay in the back until we were like the certain height and weight, because otherwise
I remember you could like fucking put the key in and turn off the airbag too.
Yeah, that was a thing that
really?
they came up with on like newer. That's like and then now they just have the sensors.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, the automotive like history of the airbag was no airbag. You just crash, you die.
Yeah.
And then an airbag for the driver.
Yeah.
And then an airbag for the driver and the passenger.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started putting like airbags all over the place because they're like, oh yeah, people keep like surviving their car accidents to find their dead kids in the back. So we need to.
Isn't that an interesting thought, that the reason as a kid you had to be a certain size to sit in the front was so the airbag wouldn't knock you out or whatever. But when there was no airbag, it's like, well, you're fucked anyway. Sit where you want.
Yeah.
Drive the car. Who cares?
The idea, I honestly know like the whole idea of this for like, because I like automotives and stuff, but it's because basically like you're dead either way if you get T-boned, but if you get rear-ended or like head-on as a kid, if you were in the front, you were more likely to like die or get injured by the airbag than you were from like the seatbelt just like stopping you.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like, but as an adult, you were safer with the airbag. So it's like T-boned either way, you're done. But then eventually they're like, oh, we can put T-bone airbags in. Look at that. It's like, so it slowly progressed. And then they're like, oh, now they have airbags with like sensors to know like who's in what seat and where everything is. And I hate it. I hate progress in automotives only because I'm like a stubborn old man with cars.
Yeah.
Fuck
electric cars, right?
I hate them so much.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
such a good idea, and they're so great for humanity, and we need them, and they're like the next step. But
What do you think about self-driving?
it sucks.
Fuck
It's
that
the
shit
worst.
too, right? Fuck that shit.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I have my truck's a manual, and
Nice.
I like it that way. I don't like driving cars that aren't manuals, and I like cars that are loud and have big engines in them and have a ton of torque for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I like cars with turbo lag, and I like cars that sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's all lost with electric cars.
Here's my take on electric. You're just fucking outsourcing the bad to another country.
Yeah.
So where you go mine the lithium and fucking cobalt and all that shit.
Interesting.
Fuck Africa, right?
Also-
At least
well-
it's clean here.
Yeah.
At least it's clean here. Fuck you, Africa.
And I don't like the maintenance part of it. Like, that's what is worrying to me, because on cars it's all mechanical, and mechanical maintenance is like easy, and there's like a method to it. You can find the broken part and you can replace it.
Right.
But like electrical maintenance is like, oh yeah, it's done. The whole thing's done. You can't, if your computer
I see what
stops
you're saying.
working, your computer's just over. Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, that's like, pull this out, pop that in, and now it works good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if your steering goes, okay, replace your steering rack.
Yeah.
But if your steering goes on an electric car, it's like, oh, your motherboard stopped computing to the steering part of your system. Like, So the whole thing is fried. Like,
yeah, exactly. You have to like rewire the one little piece on the panel.
because you
or
can't
something.
replace the steering part because there is no steering part. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
electricity part that you have to replace.
What did
that's everything.
you remember when all those fucking Boeings crashed last year for planes? You remember? Yeah, when Trump was like, airplanes are getting too computerized to fly or something.
Oh no,
Fucking cars are getting too computerized.
Well, that was
man.
actually the problem with the Boeing ones, but
they're too computerized.
or wasn't that was like late last year, earlier this
No,
year?
it was early last year, 2019. Because we flew down to fucking Montreal on one of them, and they fucking grounded every single one of them like a week after we got to
Right,
Montreal.
right.
Yeah, so that would have been like beginning of last year. But I have a fucking check engine light on my car, and apparently the most fucking common cause of that is a loose gas cap.
Yeah,
That happened to my car too.
and yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. That's the most annoying. I hate that. This is a comedian has a joke about that, about how it's like, why is it just one light for everything?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I was like going through my car. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
One light for
Yeah.
yeah, it's so stupid, and like, it's. So the light you'll get, the code you'll get, it always says evaporative emission systems leak.
Mhm.
And so basically what that means is like there's like sensors in your car to make sure that it's meeting like the emission standards that like they said it meets from factory.
Right.
So if there's a hole in your exhaust, or if like your gas tank isn't sealed properly, or like anything like that, it's letting out more emissions than it said it is. So that's what trips it. And then it's what's called a soft code. So a soft code basically gets tripped once, and then it isn't happening anymore, but the code stays lit up.
Right.
So it literally like senses it, and then you fix the problem, and then it senses it like not being a problem anymore, but the light still stays on until you reset it. And so it's like this common problem of like, if you just drive with your gas cap off, this light's going to get turned on, and then you have to go to get it reset, and then dealerships charge you to reset it.
Interesting. Do you have one of those computers you can buy for your car and just fucking...
I don't. We have one at work though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And just fucking reset all the codes and shit?
Yeah.
Fucking turn all the lights on?
Shut them off. No, they're crazy. Because that was the interesting. I did like 1 year of school as a mechanic, and then I did like my month internship, like working at a dealership.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, this ain't for me.
Wow, you don't want to fuck people in the ass, bro?
Yeah, it's it really is a ruthless, like, it's also sucks because like I know it's weird because I know that you're getting screwed for like what it costs to do this, but I also know that like everywhere else you go is going to screw you just as bad, so like you're not really getting screwed, you're only getting like
Partially screwed.
yeah.
Well, at some point, is this just how much it cost versus you're hosing someone, I guess, right?
That's it. Well, I remember the reason, like, I remember the day, like, one of the reasons when I was like, I just can't. So we had to go we take the thing that we want to get replaced. We'd have to go get the price and the part number from the parts people. And then we'd have to go to the service desk and be like, all right, service desk, here's the price of the part and the part number. Call the client and then tell the client, like, how much it's going to cost and if they want to do it. And so I stood at the desk to replace a fucking license plate bulb. It's literally a little white light bulb, goes above your license plate. It's
Nice.
illegal to drive without them. So like you have to get them replaced.
Yeah.
But it's a tiny little fucking light bulb. And it was like $1.28 or something was our cost on it, and part number was whatever. And I go to the lady and I hear her call the lady, and she's like, yeah, so it'll be like 26 something installed after labor. I was like, 26? I'm here unpaid. It's going to take 32 seconds. The things cost $1.30. How's it $26? But then if you go anywhere and ask them to replace your license plate bulb, it's $26. Like, that's just what the dealerships and the mechanics and everyone costs. So they're like, oh yeah, we noticed your bulb is out. Do you want to get it replaced? It's $26. And I'm like, so we just steal from these people openly and we all agreed to just keep doing it?
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's a frustrating industry. But then also there's like a huge amount of liability to it, and then you have to pay for all the like special tools, but then that's also just another whole racket. Like the automotive industry is like this big racket, like the whole thing.
Whoa. Just the automotive industry?
Well, yeah.
Or is there like some other industries that are also rackets?
Yeah, all of them ever, but
Yeah. All
The
business
whole-
ever.
but the
Back
whole
to
thing,
hunter gatherers. I agree.
the whole thing is to, I mean, everyone knows it. I guess it's fucking what they teach you in business school, but it's just like repeat business is like the only way. Repeat business is the only way to get business, like to stay afloat. And so they like just sell you a car that you have to go back to them to get anything done on. But it's only because they made it that way.
Yeah.
There's literally a tool. Okay, when you change brakes, the way the brake works, brakes are actually hilarious. I learned how a brake worked, and I was like, is that for real? There's like a little metal thing inside your tire that's spinning at the same speed as your tire, and then there's just this thing made of asbestos that well, not anymore, but originally and it just pinches it, like it just squeezes. So what stops you from going like on like some cars like 300 kilometers an hour in a straight line is just this motion, just pinching sideways. It stops the rotation of tires like this, just two little things going squeak. So that's pretty crazy.
And then you wonder why they light on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But so the way it works is like there's a hydraulic piston, because obviously that's a ton of force needed. So there's like a bunch of ways to increase the force. Like you just push your knee casually and you can use a pinching motion to stop a 1,000-pound vehicle going 300 kilometers an hour. Like the amount of force needed to get your knee to put that much pressure on there is immense. So part of it is a hydraulic system. There's a little piston. And when you change brakes, you have to squeeze that piston back. And most cars, you can just squeeze the piston. You take a C-clamp, you close it, and you squeeze the piston back. But some manufacturers have fitted it so that it screws out while it pushes out, so that when you push it back in, it has to screw back in. So you have to get a special C-clamp that has two little holes so that while you twist, it twists and pushes.
Interesting.
No benefit mechanically whatsoever. Simply makes maintenance more difficult, so you have to go back to the dealership.
Okay, I got you.
Well, even you should buy a fucking 01 Jimmy, bro.
They've all had it from the beginning of time. They just all have these ridiculous and like known problems that they're just like, your axle seals on your Chevy are gonna leak. Of course, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Your Ford transmission will blow at about 175,000 kilometers unless you take very particular care of it.
I guess that's why they keep making new ones every year, and it's the all-new 2021 whatever, right?
It's crazy. It's so frustrating, like, understanding, again, this is like my conflict of my two realities. Because, like, the one reality, I'm like, I think if all the automotive industry just got together and made one car that was going to work and not break down, like, they could just easily do it. But then they'd all be fucked. They'd all be out of work.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't have a job either. Like,
you mean doctors want me to be sick, so I have to go back to them?
Yeah, it's like, it's literally what caused the opioid crisis in, like, America. It's insane. But, like, it sucks that I understand it. Like, it's annoying that I get why the doctors did it.
It does suck going through life with an above average IQ, doesn't it? Hey, it really does suck.
The curse of knowledge,
Yeah.
It's torture.
The curse of being semi-intelligent.
I know. I just wish I was like a fucking backwoods yokel, just like, I'm shooting my fucking gun and riding my quad.
Dude, honest to God, sometimes me too.
You ever go out shooting guns and riding quads? It's dope.
Yeah, exactly. Live out there, live off the land.
That's what I'm saying, man. I just want to lean into it.
No internet.
I wish someone would just tell. Like, I wish I knew all the information. Like, did you hear this thing randomly? COVID. They're like, oh yeah, UFOs are real. They're alien crafts. We don't really know. Did you hear that randomly came out? They're like, oh yeah, that's what Area 51's for. Pentagon for sure. We're gonna release some of it. And like, so I read into that again because I hate because like we were talking about earlier, the only way to get people to read your article is to get crazy headlines. So you get some professional to do it. So I saw that and I was like, let's figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so apparently they're like reallocating the like secret force thing to just be part of the Air Force. And so like to be as that, like they just have to disclose like some undisclosed documents that were from there.
Oh, okay. So that's like, why it's all...
Yeah, so it's coming out because they're undisclosing these documents. So it's like... I don't know if that really means that they're shutting everything down or if they're just taking one department out of there and like, okay, well, now we're going to make this public, so let's take this department, put it as part of the Air Force, and then leave the whole rest of it as like the thing. So in my... you guys want to know where my crazy conspiracy theory went to? All right, okay. Have you guys watched the Bob Lazar the Bob Lazar documentary on Netflix?
Yeah.
You listen to Joe Rogan?
Yeah. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I'm mostly up to
familiar
speed.
with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So anti-gravity is the big thing that he talks about there. Like he talks about using like
Right.
element 113 and using like anti-gravity to like essentially like displace time space and like bring things
So you
together.
can travel through it
Yeah,
really
at
fast.
hyperspeed,
Yeah.
like faster than light.
Yeah.
You're not actually traveling through it. You're moving it closer together is essentially the idea. And if you look at like the discoveries in quantum physics right now, like that's kind of what they're figuring out is that like you can use antimatter to disfigure time space and like or like use antimatter to create anti-gravity to like distort time space.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're just starting to barely grasp the fundamentals of this field, and like we're only seeing that it's true and we can't figure out why. But then now all of a sudden it correlates with this dude's claims from the 70s. And you're like, what is that about? And he's saying he's from Area 51. And then the government's like, oh, yeah, we're going to, like, UFOs are real and we're going to, like, release this shit. So I think they've just made an anti-gravity weapon or spacecraft or something. And, like, they're just going to be coming out with it and using it in this fucking China-Russia war.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Intriguing. Okay. So it might be something.
That's where my insanity has gone, viewers.
This might be where, because we all know that the military has shit that's 10x what we have for consumer electronics today.
Yeah.
Right. At any given point, it's way in the future. So
Well,
perhaps they're normalizing this idea of like faster than light travel and showing UFOs. So then when they debut it, spring 2021. They're
It's
like,
not
hey,
crazy.
look what we discovered, guys.
Yeah.
It'll seem normal to us.
Yeah. Well, and that's the, like, if you look back historically at kind of like how the government and like secret operatives work, like now because of the internet and because of like WikiLeaks and stuff like that, like we can genuinely have an understanding of like how espionage has worked historically and like what secret government files look like. And so we know like from, if you look up the history on like the F-18 fighter, the like anti-radar airplane.
Right.
It's like that was tested at Area 51. Like that was made in like fucking Nevada. Like it was made in and tested in the desert in Nevada.
You mean like the F-35,
Or,
the new
yeah,
one?
whatever.
The new one.
Well, even the old one, like the first one, because that was the first plane to ever like be able to fly through radar without being detected or whatever. And that was all technology that they were like super secretive about and like whatever. And everyone said it was impossible and that radar would detect whatever was in the air and blah, blah, blah. And then they had these crazy scientists that were like working in super secret. And then you look back now and it's like, oh yeah, they knew about this plane and they knew about anti-radar, but they like kept it a secret for like 15 years and like let people die and like didn't use it in wars and like all this shit for like greed and money or whatever the hell the case is. So it's like now you look at like what's going on and what's coming out and it's like, okay, well if that's what they're telling us, then there's got to be like 10 other layers underneath it. So like what's the reality of what's going on if that's what they're telling us? I think that about 2020 all the time too.
Interesting.
I'm like, if this is how fucked up they're letting us know it is right now, like
right, what's behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Where they're like, don't tell everyone, they're gonna freak out. So
yeah, because even if you look at like 9/11 or the 2008 crisis, like when you look back on hindsight, it's like it's worse than what the media was telling us. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. And they had indications long before it actually happened
of
and stuff,
9/11,
right?
yeah.
Even 9/11, 08 financial crisis is like a well-known one where they just fucking ignored everything and they're like, yeah, that'll never happen, right? So
yeah. So it's like, well, with all the stuff that's happening in 2020 and like what they're telling us is like, okay, well, how bad is the 10 layers deep of like what they're not telling us? Like, what Watergate is happening right now that we're going to find out about in like 7 to 10 years?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of distraction going on too, right? Like, I mean, there's a bunch of riots that are going on and fucking all that shit, right? So
insane.
But fuck, man, I don't even know where I was going with that, but like, there's just so much that's being distracting.
Yeah, well, and that's it. It's like, yeah, with this much distraction, with this much going on, with how crazy this year has been, like as much as it's almost become a fucking cliche, it's like 2020,
kind of
like
a meme.
How much more is it gonna throw at us? Like there's been a plague, there's been like crazy weather patterns, there's been like fires and deaths and like just weird Trump shit and riots and race wars and like that Beirut explosion, like what that shit. like, of course, this year is when it happened. It's been sitting there unattended, like
For,
known
like,
by the government.
Years.
Yeah,
It was like quite a few years.
Yeah, like almost a decade, and it
Yeah,
chose
yeah, yeah,
2020
yeah.
to blow up.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what? At least Greta's going.
ain't no talking about Greta no more.
Yeah,
That's the other
exactly.
thing. Like, yo, can we
She's out of
really?
the spotlight.
I made a tweet about that. I was like, how ridiculous do we look with masks on when like 6 months ago we were this upset about straws? Like,
Yeah, dude.
how many more masks are in the ocean than straws
Mm-hmm.
right now?
That's actually
How
a big
many
thing.
sea turtles are wearing those fucking masks?
Yeah. But
that's
again,
a big thing.
it's like, but it's if we don't wear the masks, then everyone gets sick. So it's like,
Yeah.
what's the catch-22?
You have to choose one or the other, I suppose. Right.
But then, everyone's talking about like, I don't know, this is where like the hypocrisy, you just see hypocrisy in the world all the time. Like environmentalists who are like, we need to shut this down. Like, who cares about the economy? Like, so what if you lose your job? Like, oil's killing the whole planet, blah, blah, blah. Right? Which, like, I also agree with, like, here's the thing is I fundamentally get down to it, I think most of the planet, probably myself included, is here uselessly and should probably humans should be not here more than we are here.
There should be about 6 of us on the planet. Right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's-
exactly.
Realistically, like, I don't know what the science numbers are or whatever, but like, you can't look around and be like, no, we're totally an equal part of this planet to everything else on it. Like, we've clearly taken it over,
Yeah,
and we're clearly
yeah.
doing a lot of damage to it. And so, like, these people, it's like, okay, we need to shut down the oil industry and everyone should lose their jobs because the planet's more important, and we need to stop driving cars and we should move to electric, and everyone should be vegan, and all that is great and true, and we need to do that for the future of humanity to exist. We need to stop using all these hydrocarbons. But then everyone gets sick, and it's like, you need to wear your fucking mask and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but remember what you just said about all the garbage? Like, remember what if we keep throwing all these masks out and they keep getting mass produced in all these factories and we keep burning all these hydrocarbons, like, we're continuing to kill the planet, and in the long run, we're going to kill more people. So now it's like, so then what? So do we just not wear the masks and let the virus kill off whoever it's going to kill off?
Hey.
Yeah.
Like, how, like,
we
it
all
always
die
just
one
ends.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it always just ends with every one of us is going to die. Like,
Yeah.
we're just all going to die.
Yeah.
And there's too many of us on this planet.
Frankly,
is what
it's
it always
something
comes
really
down to.
nice to meditate on is,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here one day.
Yeah, eventually none of this is going to matter. As much anxiety as I have about this in 200 years, it's not going to matter anyway.
Dude, my buddy's getting married, and I turned to my girlfriend, and I was like, fuck, what's the point of life?
That's where your head went with that?
She was like, so I'm not getting a ring, hey?
So that's a no on the proposal then? I shouldn't expect a proposal.
I was like,
next
I'm really happy
vacation?
for them, but like, what's the fucking point, you know?
Yeah, man. It's like, it's weird. But then again, back to that whole thing of like, there's the two realities. It's like also when like superficially I go to a wedding, like you do feel that like love, and you're like, oh, it's kind of nice, and I want to hold someone's
Yeah,
hand
very
right
wholesome.
now. And,
Yeah, exactly.
and you're
Yeah.
happy for like your friend and his girlfriend. You're like, they're gonna spend their lives together, even though you know, like, probably statistically they aren't.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like, I don't know, it all feels nice.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
good and it's fun, and the kids are there and they do the dance, and grandpa's like all happy,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's dope. It's like, it is good. Like, weddings are sweet and fun, and marriage is happy, and then it ends horribly.
You ever thought about like having kids and like, do you know how like your parents were like, everything's amazing, buddy, like, you know, the world's this great place and all this stuff, then you turn about, you know, 20, 21, you're like, fuck, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And then like, how did they keep that facade going
Dude,
for like
I'm
15 to 20 years, you know?
I have friends who are having kids, and like now I'm doing it to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I almost feel bad about it, but I'm like, no, it'd be way worse to just be like a dick to this kid.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, do you know what China's doing right now?
Yeah, like,
who
your kid's
ca-
like, let me show you the garage. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to school, and I just gonna be like, oh, are you going to put Scooby-Doo on your mask? Like, because you're not going to be like, oh, going back to school is actually a bad idea. Like, some of you or your friends might die this year because our government has been irresponsible. But, like, that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah.
When this little 7-year-old's like, I'm going back to school. In my head, I'm like, I can't fucking believe they're letting these stupid coffee sneezy, like, can't understand how a mask wears kids go back to school and like spread this virus around and give it to their grandparents
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
But then I have to just look at them and be like, oh, what kind of mask did you get, buddy?
Yeah. See, but that's kind of, and even to your earlier point, like that's just kind of when you see some of those wholesome things or whatever, like your brain secretes certain fucking chemicals, and you're like, oh, this is kind of nice, right? Same thing when you're at a wedding.
Santa's
but then you have
coming tomorrow.
Yeah, Santa's coming, Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
But then you have your shower thought, and you're
Jesus.
like, it's all fucking pointless. So I don't know. Both are equally true, really.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like they're both equally true. So it's like, now what? Do I just live in two realities at the same time and just deal with that, or do I pick one, or do I try and make one more like the
Yeah.
other?
It's like the upside down from Stranger
yeah.
Things.
Bro, yeah. And then I get high and I read books on like quantum mechanics, and I learn that like if you influence one proton, it can have an influence on like another, like it's like sister proton, like literally galaxies away.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty fucked.
Yeah. And it's like, so now what? Now there actually literally is two realities that are observable? It's
There's
like, does that
also-
have some correlation
There's
with
more
these-
than two. There's like infinite, bro.
Yeah, so like what do I do with that? And is that only for while we're alive, or is there infinite other ones while we're dead? Is that what black holes are? They take you to the dead part?
I don't know. But in one of them, you're a billionaire.
Thank God.
Yeah. Just not this one. Yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well. In a lot of them I'm dead. In like a whole bunch of them I'm dead.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Then it's like Rick and Morty. So if you screw up this one, just get to one of those other ones where you died and just hop right back in. It'll
Yeah,
be fine.
exactly.
That show is amazing.
So good.
I know.
It's great. I like it.
Have you guys watched Midnight Gospel?
No. What's that?
Oh God, it's so good. It's oh, I can't believe I forget this guy's name right now. He just did like a 5-hour podcast with Joe Rogan.
Duncan Trussell.
Yeah, it's Duncan Trussell. So they took his podcast and they took like the audio from it, and then they added like a storyline to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then like animated it as this weird like. So Duncan Trussell's character lives like by himself on this weird little like planety thing out in space.
Okay.
And he puts his head in this big vagina looking thing, and he
It's
like
an animated show, right?
yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Midnight Gospel.
Okay. Keep going, sorry.
And so he goes through this like universe simulator, and he picks a universe, and he gets his consciousness teleported to that universe, and he interviews one of the like intelligent beings on that planet.
What? I've seen an episode of this show, and I was fucking high, and it was hilarious. man.
Bro, it's so crazy because it's such a whack concept. But like the whole idea of like this thing, like if you watch the show, you get the idea is that like this guy's sister loaned him the money to buy this used like universe simulator, and she said it was a waste of money, and then he was using the simulator to record podcasts with like beings from other universes, and then he was gonna like beam it out into the universe and like become a millionaire off of it. And so then the animated series is like following him as he adventures through and like interviews these people.
So does it still just like
But-
play the podcast?
Yeah,
Or
so-
is it like a
well-
story kind of based on it?
It does.
sort of thing?
So it uses the audio of the podcast as dialogue between him and the characters.
Mm.
But then it also like adds in like a fictional narrative like over top that like layers through with.
Oh,
So
okay.
they'll be like
Is
having
it on
this.
Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be like having this conversation, like that they're having the podcast, and then you'll hear Duncan Trussell just be like, "Oh, just give me a sec. I just got to deal with this." And then he'll go and like kill a bunch of zombies. In one episode, they're like going through a zombie apocalypse. So they're like
I saw
shoot
this
all
one.
these zombies.
I saw
Yeah,
this
I think
one.
it's the first episode. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
And so he like kills all these zombies, and he's like, "So, anyways, you were saying like, you believe that like in the next life we're set free from our eternal bodies to be like our consciousness?" And like, yeah, and then they like continue the conversation.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
it's like through this zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
So he's a
Midnight what? Sorry.
Gospel.
Midnight Gospel.
yeah. So he's a very like spiritual, like he likes talking about, and he's like all about psychedelics and meditation and healing, and he's a very Joe Rogan-y. Him and Joe,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
him and Joe Rogan did a
No,
5-hour
I've listened to-
podcast.
Yeah,
you know.
tells you enough about it, right?
But
So-
yeah, he has really interesting guests. So he has like Ram Dass, and who's like a pretty famous Buddhist monk,
okay,
I
that
think.
sounds familiar.
And yeah, he's anyway, yeah, he's pretty cool. And then who else does he have on? He has a murderer. He has like a famous murderer, from like a Oklahoma City trio or some shit like that. That does that
Yeah,
ring
sure,
a bell?
yeah.
Anyways, and he was like 15 when he murdered someone or something like that, and then he served his like 25 years and he's out now, but he's like a Satanist and like a magician, but not a magician, like a illusionist. Like he believes in real magic, like Wiccans and shit.
Okay.
And so like that one made me really uncomfortable because I was like, this guy shouldn't have been let out of jail. He murdered people, and now he's like, I'm a Satanist. I believe in real magic. It's actually a thing. And you're like, what? Put him back in the jail.
Interesting.
So that one's fucked up. That one was really, I got really high and watched that one, and it made me like super uncomfortable. I really didn't like it. But some of the other ones are really cool.
Yeah. Might have my old Netflix to do after this episode, but anyways.
If
quarantine did teach me one thing, is I like edibles.
yeah, they're fun.
Yeah. Well, I fucking tripled down one night and greened the fuck out.
Oh no. How'd that go?
I got really introspective after I fucking puked everywhere. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's a weird place to get. Was time funky for you?
Dude, my girlfriend's face was like warping from like, no fucking word of a lie, from like a young woman to like an old woman and then like back to a young woman. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my god.
Do you guys remember that thing from the old internet where it's like the young girl and it spun around as the old lady?
Yes,
and then
that's fucking what it was, man. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah. I do remember that.
And the fucking, that 70s show fucking lights.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
That's so, yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I ever got high was on way too many edibles. And I remember the first thing that like made it go bad, because it was a lot of fun and like I was enjoying
they could be
myself.
Really good, yeah.
And then like the first thing that just made it turn, I remember, was like I just couldn't understand the concept of time anymore. And I was just like, oh no. And then like
I'm stuck in Groundhog Day.
Well, yeah, and then because I couldn't understand how time worked, like the only thing that I've found now that gets me through, like if I get too high, you just go, okay, it's gonna be over. Like eventually, time will like pass. And it'll
Eventually,
be fine. Yeah.
It feels like 10 fucking years.
But yeah, that's the thing, is like I kept saying eventually, but then I'm like, no, like my mind doesn't get time anymore, which means that like I'm just stuck in this thought, like because it's because I didn't understand eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
Like so I just got stuck in like this thought of like, this is never going to stop being this way. And then like that's all I could think. So like as soon as I would start having fun, I'm like, oh nice. And I'm like, oh, but forever? Like
I had to get up off the fucking bed and walk around because I was like, if I don't, I know I'm gonna die.
Yeah, well, and then I went upstairs and then I went and I remember falling onto the toilet, and then like it felt like I was just like sinking into a hole. Like my body just fully wasn't there anymore, and I was just puking, and I was just like, bleh.
Yeah.
And then I stayed off weed for like almost a whole nother year.
Yeah.
I got high once, and then I was like, not for me.
Yeah. I went to our loft and just fucking sat in a chair for at least 5 hours.
Yeah. That's so. Did you sleep or did you just sit in it?
No,
awake?
I just sat there fucking looking out the window, man.
Sat awake for 5 hours.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I don't know if it's ever gonna end, and I was like shaking, and I was like, oh my god. and then all of a sudden, I was fine.
Yeah, it just goes away.
Yeah, I just stood up, walked downstairs, went to bed, and I was like, all right.
Dude, that's the other. Edibles start and stop immediately.
They're very abrupt.
I remember eating edible and then like whatever, an hour and a half later, like being high and then having the thought like I couldn't have just started getting high.
Yeah, there's no build up to it.
Like I'm so high. Like there's no way that I was sober a minute ago.
Yeah.
Like or less than a minute, like 5 seconds.
No, there's
like,
no build up.
Like,
the fucking floor drops out from beneath you.
Like it's like instant. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen with anything else. Like if you smoke weed, it doesn't happen. Like drinking, it doesn't happen.
No.
Like it's just eating edibles that it's like a fucking 0 to a billion.
Fuck.
I
had a really fun experience, and then that one was like, I don't know if I'm ever doing this again.
Man, my dad did edibles with his neighbor. My dad was a big stoner when he was growing up. He was born in like 1956. So in like 1970 he was 15 years old.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, he grew up from 15 to 25 was the 70s for this dude. Like,
Shit.
yeah. So he smoked
Pretty
some
good.
weed growing up and whatever. And then, like, yeah, when I was a kid, he was like smoked a little bit of weed until I was like 15, and he stopped and whatever. So he went to his buddy's place, and they had like cookies, and he ate one, and then made the stupid rookie mistake of like, oh, this edible ain't shit. Give me more edible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he hadn't smoked weed in like 15 years. But he was like, I fucking smoked so much weed when I was a kid. Because he like grew his own fucking weed. Like, he was one of those gangster, like, when it was illegal, he was still like, fuck you, just like smoking like in public guys.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
He was just like that dude.
Yeah.
So he was like, fuck that. Like, I'll do this. Had like 3 cookies or some shit. And then got like so high, he was just like, did the classic, like, I have to leave now. Like,
All right, brain, tell my mouth what words to say.
he was just like at the neighbor's house, like hanging out with like his neighbor and his wife and him and his girlfriend. And then just did the like, I am going to go home. Like, too high move. Goes back home. And his girlfriend says she comes back. She like goes to like check on him because he just upped and dipped, and she comes and just finds him like standing in the bedroom, just like, babe, I can't get my clothes off. And she had to like undress him and get him to bed.
Fuck.
He was just standing in the middle of the room, like unable to get undressed. Oh, and then he hasn't touched weed since. I offered him when I went to Ontario to visit. I had some pot, and I was like, "Come on, Dad, it's legal now. Like, you used to smoke all the time," and you're just like, "No, fuck that." Like,
Can't do it.
Too many
That's funny.
cookies.
That's awesome.
The second time I did edibles, we went to fucking Cafe Amore for some pasta, and then the breadsticks came, and I got the pasties, and I couldn't eat
oh
them.
no, you're just sitting there, just eating a piece of actual chalk, essentially.
You're just like, what's going on? I had to give them out. I'm like, I can't eat these guys.
That's
I'm gonna
so
choke
funny.
and die.
Just drink water while you eat them.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It's so funny.
So, you want to tell us about your new stand-up?
Oh yeah, I guess we talked
Business
about
tour here?
quarantine. It's
Yeah.
not even a thing. I just figured, yeah, I might as well plug this while I came out. Essentially what we're doing, this is for local Edmonton people, and you guys got Edmonton listeners, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are small business oriented.
Nope.
Yeah, both of them are from here.
Yeah, you're looking at both of them anyway.
But yeah, so it's basically geared towards small businesses in Edmonton. We realized that this year kind of blows, and for like staff holiday parties, there's not really much choice of what you can do because bars won't let you come in big groups, and you can't have dance floors and you can't have DJs. And so we, some friends and I, put together a local catered comedy dinner and a show.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Beauty.
So we got some deceptive marketing on
Oh,
there.
yeah.
This one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right at the bottom.
Was.
The regular $12.50, 2020 reduced price $4.99.
Shit, dude.
Hey.
Which, that's actually true. So if you want to hire a professional stand-up, literally either of the comedians on the show for your private Christmas party, and you're like, how much is it for you to come do our company's like Christmas party?
Yeah.
We're like, it is $1,250 for me to come do your Christmas show.
Okay.
So that is like, it's kind of a lie. It's bogus, but it's like if you wanted your 6-person company to have your own private comedian, it would cost you
That's what it's gonna cost you.
$1,250 for us. Probably more, because we would be like, I don't want to do the 6-person fucking show for your hair salon.
Just the 6 of us sitting there looking at you. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so essentially it's like if you want to hire a comedian to come do your company show, it's going to cost you over $1,000.
Yeah.
But if you have a small business and you want to come to this show, it'll cost you $500 if you book in September.
Okay.
And then I think $600 if you book in October, and then $750 if you book in November. Just kind of a
How many tables?
we can fit about 15 in.
Okay.
We're hoping we sell enough in the early birds that we can add a Saturday and kind of get some more work for everyone, and
Nice.
some more companies,
Beauty.
some parties.
So this is all on December 11th.
Yeah, December
Correct.
11th.
That's a
Yeah,
Friday?
Yeah. Yeah, so yegholiday.ca has all the like the links for the tickets
Beauty.
and like the menu and everything, and it's like it's crazy, man. So I work at Central, I mentioned, and so business obviously for restaurants around the world is been tough.
Yeah.
And so this was also an opportunity to get them some business. So I'm paying them like the full catering rate to do everything, but it's an event for them to, get some more income in. So they're doing a really cool, like a 3.5 course meal essentially
Fuck yeah.
for us. Yeah. So you get,
Dope.
everyone gets their own dessert.
Fuck yeah.
And then you get a choice of appetizer and a choice of entree. And then there's chips and dip like at the table on arrival for everyone to kind of munch on. And so, yeah, we're going to do a whole dinner
Dope.
in the show. There's a bar there, so there will be liquor service. Like, there's waitresses to and from the table, so you don't have to, mingle, no COVID. Everything's going to be AHS approved and ready to roll.
Beauty.
Nice, man.
All distanced or whatever, the tables
Yeah.
and shit. And where is this venue?
It's just south of White Ave, actually.
And what's it called?
It's called the Sugar Swing Ballroom.
Sugar Swing Ballroom.
Yeah.
And it's south of White?
Yeah, so we had to pick, it's on like 80th Ave, and it's kind of behind MKT, like in that neighborhood behind
Oh,
where they built
okay,
like
okay,
those
okay.
new condos. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
in there by like Dirks and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, it's, I don't know. I was
really?
looking
Okay.
for venues because they want to have the food like prepared but cooked for. They want to have good meals for everyone. We're trying to make this as good of a show as possible. Like, we have a great comedian coming through. We have a real chef who's going to be cooking. Like, our head chef is going to be doing all the prep and all that stuff.
Yep.
And so we want to make sure that it's good for everyone. So we wanted to be able to cook it there. So we're trying to find a place with like a kitchen, but
Yeah.
also that allowed outside catering. And so there's only 2 in Edmonton that we really could find, and this one's not ideal because they don't have like an industrial kitchen, but we're going to do our best to like make sure that, at least the stuff that needs to be heated up is going to get heated up and done there so that we're not, bringing raw chicken and COVID with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for you, man.
Sick,
That's
man.
dope.
So yeah, so we're hoping, I don't know, if you have a small business and you want to do something for your staff, it's $500 and you get dinner for everyone, you get a show for everyone, and it's hopefully it's going to be a good show. Drew Bain
Nice.
is the headliner. You can look him up. Gnarly is his album. It's available on Spotify and iTunes, and he's on Sirius XM. His album gets played on there, and he has a podcast called This Week with Drew, so you can check him out, and if you enjoy him, you can come to the show.
Cool, man.
Hell yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Small business listeners of ours, which we do actually have a few. Hopefully we can send them your way. This is
Yeah.
awesome. I like this idea.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so heck yeah, come to that, people.
People.
Do it. Do it. And
What
we'll
have you
we'll
guys
put a
had to
link
do
below
anything
there.
like this? Because like this, the reason literally we like thought of this because most of our work is like doing that, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
paid $1,250 to go do a company Christmas show is the best way to make a living as a stand-up comedian.
Right.
Mhm.
But it's like hard. It's hard to do it because first of all you have to sell it, and second of all you have to be a pretty freaking good comedian to
Command that
make,
price. Yeah.
Well, that and make a whole company of people laugh while like their significant others and their bosses in the room and like
Yeah.
Right. Right.
that whole thing. So it's like that's why that's like why the reason the price is that much, because if you go like to a comedy club, like when I headline a comedy club, I don't make the same amount of money as I do when I go do like a private show, but it's because I have to do stuff in front of your boss and still make you laugh. So that's like the reason. But so that's how we kind of made a living, and so we were all looking at our calendars, and kind of August, September is when you start booking those things, 'cause
Yeah.
that's when HR departments are going through their stuff for the
Right,
holidays.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so everyone was kind of looking at their calendars. I literally don't have a single one booked, and like I had one show like reschedule 3 times on me, like since like the phase 1 reopening, like it just keeps getting pushed back. Like, sorry, like we're not opening this month, maybe next month. Like put it on hold for
Yeah.
us. No, not this month, next month. Put it on hold for us. Which obviously understandable. Like I'm not upset about it,
Yeah.
but it's work that's gone. And then I was supposed to go do a tour through Ontario, like that's gone, and no word on like when that's getting replaced. So I was like, well, shit, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
Have you been doing stuff at Comic Strip or?
Yeah. The comic strip reopened at phase 1, so I
Yeah.
did their first weekend open with Kathleen McGee, who I think you guys had
Yeah,
on
yeah.
recently.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, she's hilarious. She sold
Very
out, like
funny.
that weekend was
Yeah.
sold out, and like
Nice.
yeah, we had so much fun that weekend.
Yeah, it was
those
sick.
were really fun crowds, and it was like right after quarantine, so everyone was just like, Oh, something to do. Yes.
Yeah, happy to be out.
So yeah, we had wicked crowds. So yeah, that's been nice. But like, yeah, our actual big money stuff all kind of went away. So I was like, well, maybe I gotta book something myself.
Kind of
Nice,
to
dude.
make your own event.
Yeah,
I like
so
it.
we had to
Fucking
get
choose
innovative.
yourself.
So
There you go.
have you guys had to do any of that, like getting like weirdly innovative and just do like I would prefer not to do this, but I got to do this COVID thing?
I started selling my body, so
Yeah.
it's not been very good.
Yeah. You
Like,
I had to stop being so choosy about the clients.
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, honestly, like we were talking before the show started, like for our business, because it's not like it's public facing, but in very, very, very small groups of like a couple people.
Yeah.
Not a lot actually changed really for like what, fortunately. So I'm cool with the phase 2 level of things being open because I can kind of operate my business moderately normally, honestly.
Yeah.
So we're pretty lucky that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
But granted, on that note, I guess maybe trying to get creative with a few ways to generate business and whatnot. But no, nothing, frankly, nothing quite as big as that. So yeah, no, that's good. You found a solution. Do you think like any normal companies are going to do Christmas parties, or will it be too much of a shit show even if they distance their tables and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. Like honestly, that's the issue is how at this point it comes down to what everything comes down to, just the language. It's like how big is a cohort allowed to be? Like what is Can you bring your spouses to a company Christmas party, or can you have can you still do the door prizes and have like the MC? Like can you do a DJ if there's no dance floor, or are they like no, because we know as soon as you start getting liquored up and there's music playing, you're going to make a dance floor in between the 4 tables?
Well, and even the thing if yeah, maybe your tables are spread out, but if it's a company that's been working from home and no one's really seen each other, and now you're in a room, even if you're spread out and you're boozed up, like the rule, that's the thing too, is like once people's, well, what, are you going to strictly sit at your table with Joe from accounting who you can't stand, right? Like, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't been able to find a solution for larger companies, which obviously usually is our target because they're the ones who have big enough.
A little bit more money for it. Yeah.
So our solution was basically just like, well, instead, let's try and make a solution for
people
places like salons, and I thought tattoo shops and weed stores and salons and mechanic shops were kind of the places that I could think of that would have 6 to 12 employees that could buy 1 to 2 tables.
There's a lot of small like and we'll talk about this after, but like what more like I would say like white collar, small offices, marketing and shit, who might be good for that too. But anyways, I don't know. There's a lot of small businesses, so maybe
we just basically
get them to
like,
do something fun for their staff.
Exactly. We'll change our focus. Instead of going after people who can bring us an audience of 150, we'll try and find a number of companies that can bring us,
interesting
small audience.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
Cool. No, I like it. That's very damn. Actually, on that note, natural transition. Got any shows coming up? How's the comedy scene looking?
I've got we're doing a show at the Meyer Horowitz, but I think that's only for U of A students.
Where's that?
It's their little theater on campus.
Oh, okay.
They usually do like a week of welcome thing, but they
really?
They can't do it this year because the space we do in is too small, so they're doing like a supplementary thing for that. So if you're at the U of A on the 24th of September, I will be at the Meyer Horowitz, and then I'm in Whitecourt on the 26th, so that really doesn't matter.
Fuck you.
I'm doing a weed comedy festival, but I have no details about it. That's October 9th and 10th. I do believe that that's in the city, though. So keep an eye out for that. Sterling is my contact for that. Sterling Scott. Have you guys had him on?
No, not yet.
Well, he's funny.
Get him on.
Yeah. He's very funny. Hopefully soon.
And then, this won't
Sterling.
be out, but in 2 days, I'm headlining the comic strip, which I'm very excited about.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that actually on your Instagram, now that I think about it.
That's been a cool.
Nice.
You still get tickets for that?
Yeah.
Fuck, I got some tickets for a comic strip. I might go see you. This Thursday?
Yeah, they email me all the time.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
Today's Monday, fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Time is a construct.
Yeah, it's been fun. We've that's been cool. They've had to use people nearby. They can't bring people from LA and New York anymore.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed is their lineups. I'm like, Oh, I know all these people.
they are.
But it's been cool because I don't
Good,
know.
goodish turnouts or what?
Yeah, well, like
Yeah.
I was saying, Kathleen, it was like sold out. The Sunday was sold out,
Really?
which is, I mean, not what sold out was
Right.
pre-COVID, but it's like
Yeah.
there's still like there was still more people who tried to buy tickets than were allowed into the venue,
Mhm.
and so
Do you have to like wear your mask when you're in there?
you have to wear it to the table, and then the tables are all 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
everyone's-
The magical land, dude.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
Magical land.
I'm
where
sitting
you just
down.
Take it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, none of the front row is sat because you can't be within like 6 feet of the comedian. Like,
Right, right, okay.
And then everyone's like distanced. So the
So
audience
are like
is a
crowd
real,
work
patchy.
comedians kind of screwed?
Kind of not really. I worked with a guy this weekend, and like it's still like it's busy enough. It honestly looks like a like we've always been. Me and some other comedians have said it looks like a busy Wednesday every time now.
Gotcha.
It
Okay.
just
I
always
see what you're
looks like a
saying.
busy Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
So yeah, you know when you go to a restaurant, you're like, oh, it's busy for a Wednesday. It's like that's what it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's what it's like in there all the time. So, but it's been cool because like we get that, and then the feedback hasn't really changed. Like you still get after the show, like the tables that come up and like, oh my god, this is like my first time at a comedy show, is amazing, or like we come here all the time and like we've never seen you before and we loved it. Like I heard people saying to Kathleen what I hear them say about, you know, people from LA and New York and wherever else, from Toronto and Vancouver, and they laughed just as hard and they sold just as well. So like I'm hoping, part of me is like, well, maybe some of the clubs, not even the clubs, but like just anyone who was booking comedy shows is like, oh, we can just book the people who are close by. Like we don't have to be importing comedians. We can just give business to the people who are here.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they're just as good. Like it turns out that being born somewhere else doesn't actually give you the gift of being funnier.
Isn't that a wild idea in,
You know what,
in the
man?
industry?
The amount of times I've heard people be like, a comedian like from Edmonton, you're like, why does that?
Yeah.
How?
I can still be funny here.
Like, how would that matter? Explain to me how it would matter.
I hear Wuhan's completely open though, so they might be exporting you soon.
Yeah, I heard. I heard you're hilarious if you come from Wuhan. Play
God.
world pranks over there. Global scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine if they're just like, I gotcha.
Yeah. Like the Dave Chappelle gotcha bitch.
All right.
Awesome. Well, oh shit, I think that's probably time for an episode.
Yeah.
Alex, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone
Thanks,
check them out. Be sure to check out yegholiday.ca. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yegholiday.ca.
Beauty. We'll put a link below if you're interested. And if you're listening to this on this Wednesday when it comes out, Alex will be performing tonight at the Comic Strip at West Ed. So go check him out.
Yeah. Check it.
See you there.
Thanks, guys.